Walt Whitman, born in 1819, was a true son of Long Island. He grew up in the small town of West Hills, amidst the farms and shores of this diverse landscape. His family, of English and Dutch descent, instilled in him a deep connection to the land and its people. Life wasn't always easy for the Whitman family. They struggled financially, and Walt, the second of 9 children, had to leave school at the age of 11 to help support his family. Despite his limited formal education, Whitman was a voracious reader. He spent countless hours in the local library, immersing himself in the works of Shakespeare, Dante, and the Bible. These literary giants ignited his imagination and inspired him to express himself through writing. He began his writing career as a young man, contributing articles and poems to local newspapers. Whitman's early experiences shaped his worldview and his artistic sensibilities. He worked as a printer's apprentice, learning the power of the written word firsthand. He taught in various schools, witnessing the potential and the struggles of ordinary Americans. These experiences provided him with a unique understanding of the human condition, which he would later translate into his groundbreaking poetry. In 1841, Whitman moved to New York City, the bustling heart of American commerce and culture. This vibrant, diverse metropolis would become his muse, inspiring some of his most powerful and evocative writing. He immersed himself in the city's energy, observing its inhabitants, its rhythms, and its social dynamics. New York City, with its mix of immigrants, laborers, and dreamers, embodied the spirit of America that Whitman sought to capture in his poetry. In 1855, Whitman self-published a slim volume of 12 untitled poems. This collection, titled Leaves of Grass, would become his life's work and a cornerstone of American literature. Leaves of Grass was unlike anything that had come before it. It defied poetic conventions, embracing free verse and a bold, often sensual celebration of the human body and the natural world. The poems were met with mixed reactions. Some critics were shocked by Whitman's unconventional style and his frank treatment of sexuality. Others, however, recognized the power and originality of his voice. Ralph Waldo Emerson, a leading figure of the Transcendentalist movement, famously praised Whitman's work, calling it the most extraordinary piece of wit and wisdom America has yet contributed. Section 4. The Soul of a Nation, Democracy and Individuality in Verse. Leaves of Grass was more than just a collection of poems. It was a manifesto for a new kind of American literature, one that celebrated the common man and the ideals of democracy. Whitman believed in the inherent worth and dignity of every individual, regardless of their social standing or background. He saw America as a grand experiment in self-government, a nation where people from all walks of life could come together to create a more just and equitable society. His poems celebrated the diversity and the unity of the American experience. He sang the praises of farmers and laborers, of immigrants and outcasts. He saw beauty and meaning in the everyday, in the sights and sounds of the city and the countryside. Through his vivid imagery and his evocative language, Whitman captured the spirit of America and its people. Section 5. Bearing Witness, Whitman and the Civil War. The outbreak of the Civil War in 1861 deeply affected Whitman. He was horrified by the bloodshed and the division that threatened to tear the nation apart. He traveled to Washington, D.C. to volunteer as a nurse, tending to the wounded soldiers from both sides of the conflict. He witnessed firsthand the horrors of war and the resilience of the human spirit. His experiences during the war found their way into his poetry, adding a new layer of depth and compassion to his work. He wrote about the sacrifices made by soldiers, the grief of families torn apart by conflict, and the enduring hope for a reunited nation. Whitman's Civil War poems, such as Drum Taps and When Lilacs Last in the Dooryard Bloomed, are considered some of the most powerful and moving war poems ever written. Section 6. A Literary Legacy, Whitman's Enduring Influence. Walt Whitman died in 1892, but his legacy lived on. He is considered one of the most important figures in American literature, a poet who revolutionized the way we think about language, form, and the role of the artist in society. His influence can be seen in the works of countless writers, from Langston Hughes and Allen Ginsberg to Adrienne Rich and Ocean Vuong. Whitman's free verse style, his embrace of the vernacular, and his celebration of the individual continue to inspire and challenge readers today. He reminded us that poetry is not just something to be studied in classrooms. It is a living, breathing art form that has the power to connect us to our humanity, to our history, and to the world around us. His legacy is a testament to the enduring power of words to inspire, to challenge, and to heal.